The cemetery was supposed to be empty at this hour, but Marcus Chen heard the soft whimpering before he saw her. There, crouched beside a weathered granite headstone, was a little girl no more than 5 years old, her tangled auburn hair catching the last rays of dying sunlight. Her tiny shoulders shook with each quiet sob, and clutched in her dirt-stained hands was a wilted dandelion, the kind of flower only a child would consider beautiful enough for someone they loved. Marcus had come here to escape. The 42-year-old CEO of Chen Industries had built an empire worth billions, commanded boardrooms filled with the most powerful executives in the country, and had his name emblazoned on skyscrapers from New York to Los Angeles. Yet tonight, after another 16-hour day in his glass tower, surrounded by people who only saw dollar signs when they looked at him, he felt emptier than the hollow space between these silent graves. He should have walked away, should have minded his own business. But something about the child's grief was so pure, so unguarded, made his feet stop moving. "Hey there," he said softly, crouching down to her level. "Are you okay?" The little girl looked up, revealing tear-streaked cheeks and eyes the color of spring grass. She wiped her nose with the back of her hand and shook her head. "I'm not supposed to talk to strangers," she whispered, but made no move to leave. "That's smart," Marcus replied, sitting cross-legged on the damp grass despite his $1,500 suit. "My name's Marcus." "What's yours?" "Lily." She glanced at the headstone, then back at him. "I come here to talk to Mama. She went to heaven last month, but Grandma Rose says she can still hear me if I talk real quiet like." Marcus felt something twist in his chest. "I'm sure she can." "That's a beautiful flower you brought her." Lily held up the dandelion, examining its bent stem with serious consideration. "It's not very pretty." The man at the flower shop said these are just weeds, but Mama always said they were wishes waiting to happen. Her lower lip trembled. "I wished real hard for her to come back, but it didn't work." The vulnerability in her voice cracked something open inside Marcus that had been sealed shut for years. Sometimes the most important wishes take longer to come true, he found himself saying, and sometimes they come true in ways we don't expect. "Really?" Lily's eyes widened with hope. Before Marcus could answer, an elderly woman's voice cut through the evening air. "Lily, Lily, where are you, child?" "That's Grandma Rose," Lily said, scrambling to her feet. "I wasn't supposed to come here alone, but she was sleeping and I wanted to tell Mama about my bad day at school." An elderly woman emerged from behind a row of headstones, her face etched with worry lines and exhaustion. When she spotted Lily, relief flooded her features, quickly followed by gentle scolding. "Child, you gave me such a fright. You can't just disappear like that." Rose's gaze shifted to Marcus, taking in his expensive attire with obvious wariness. "I'm sorry if she bothered you, sir." Marcus stood, brushing grass from his pants. "She wasn't bothering me at all. I'm Marcus Chen." He extended his hand, which Rose shook hesitantly. "Rose Pattison." "This is my granddaughter, Lily." Rose's voice carried the weight of someone who had shouldered too much responsibility too late in life. "We were just leaving." But Lily had other plans. She tugged on Marcus's jacket with surprising determination. "Mr. Marcus, do you have a little girl?" "No, I don't," Marcus admitted. "Do you have Mama and Daddy?" The question hit him unexpectedly hard. "Not anymore, sweetheart." Lily processed this information with the solemn gravity only children possess. Then, with the devastating honesty of innocence, she asked, "Are you lonely like me?" Marcus glanced at Rose, who was watching the exchange with growing concern. How could he explain to a 5-year-old that loneliness wasn't about being alone, but about being surrounded by people who only wanted something from you. That success meant nothing when you had no one to share it with. Sometimes, he said simply. Lily nodded as if this made perfect sense. I don't have a papa. He went away before I was born, and now Mama's in heaven, so it's just me and Grandma Rouse. She paused, studying his face with startling intensity. Can you be my daddy forever? The words hung in the air like a prayer. Rose gasped, her face flushing crimson. Lily, you can't just ask people. It's okay, Marcus said quickly, though his heart was racing. He knelt down again, meeting Lily's helpful gaze. That's a very important question. Lily, can I think about it? How long will it take? 'Cause Grandma Rose gets tired a lot, and sometimes she cries when she thinks I'm sleeping, and I think she needs help taking care of me. Rose's eyes filled with tears. Lily, baby, I'm doing just fine here. No, you're not, Lily said with devastating honesty. You sold Mama's jewelry to pay for food, and yesterday you were looking at papers that made you cry really hard. Marcus felt something shift inside him, like tectonic plates rearranging themselves. 3 months later, he would look back on this moment as the one that changed everything. But right now, all he could see was a little girl who needed someone to love her, and an elderly woman drowning in responsibility she was too proud to admit she couldn't handle alone. What if, he said carefully, I help take care of both of you? Rose stiffened. We don't need charity, Mr. Chen. It wouldn't be charity, Marcus replied, his mind already racing with possibilities. It would be family. Over the next several weeks, Marcus found himself returning to the small apartment where Rose and Lily lived. He helped with groceries, school supplies, and doctor visits. He read bedtime stories and attended tea parties with stuffed animals. He listened to Lily's chatter about her day and Rose's stories about her late daughter. Slowly, the walls around his heart began to crumble. The adoption process was complex, but Marcus's resources made the impossible merely difficult. 6 months after that evening in the cemetery, Judge Morrison asked Lily if she understood what adoption meant. It means Marcus is my daddy forever and ever, even if I'm bad sometimes, Lily said solemnly. And it means Grandma Rose gets to stay with us in the big house with the pretty garden, and nobody has to cry about money anymore. And how do you feel about that? The judge asked, smiling. Lily looked at Marcus, who was holding his breath. I think Mama sent him to us. Like she made the dandelion wish come true, but different than I expected. Marcus felt tears he hadn't shed in years streaming down his cheeks. Rose reached over and squeezed his hand, her own eyes bright with joy. I now pronounce you father and daughter, Judge Morrison declared. That evening, they visited the cemetery together as a family. Lily placed a fresh bouquet of daisies on her mother's grave, real flowers from Marcus's garden, though she still insisted on adding one dandelion for good luck. Thank you, Mama, she whispered. I love my new daddy, and I think you would too. As they walked back to the car, Lily slipped her small hand into Marcus's much larger one. Daddy Marcus? Yes, sweetheart. Do you think other lonely people are waiting for their families to find them too? Marcus looked back at the cemetery, then down at his daughter and smiled. I think you might be right, Lily, I think you might be right. And in that moment, surrounded by the two people who had taught him what real wealth looked like, Marcus Chen finally understood that some acquisitions couldn't be bought with money, they could only be earned with love.